Oh, hey everyone. My name's Erik Thor, and I'm with New Youngin Academy. We are what you could say, a project to redefine the personality types based on what and who you are and tend to be when you are in a state of flow and when you are in a positive mindset. I was just thinking about something. I was thinking about the question of the person's dark and the light side of themselves. I have this theory that we have, in this traditional sense, an INFJ has an ENFP's unconscious four functions. I tend to say that an INFJ is an ENFP flipped inside out. I don't know if you saw the video I made just before about ENFPs turned inside out. The ENFP's dark side. The ENFP has an INFJ dark side. The INFJ has an ENFP dark side. So in many ways, ENFPs are kind of dark mystics, where INFJs are in many ways light mystics. And this, of course, hinges on something, and that hinges that you actively seek to explore your dark side. You're actively interested in this dark side, and you are actively exploring and testing it and diving into it to learn things about something. A lot of the metaphorism about the dark and the light are pretty accurate for understanding a person's different sides to themselves. The dark side is in many ways a superpower, a hidden superpower that can give you extra power, but in many ways it can also bring up anxiety, and it can also bring up stress, and it can bring up negative parts of yourself. So in the New Jungian theory, what we are working with is we are exploring and we are helping people tell the difference, because I think a lot of people are getting lost on identifying too much with their dark side instead of their light side, identifying with their negative habits and their negative parts of their behavior instead of looking at, in many ways, their bright side and who they are when they are in a positive mindset. Now, I find that in many ways intuitive introversion for an ENFP is a reflection of your comfort zone. The letters around you, I and N and F and J for an INFJ, are a reflection of how I center myself, how I calm myself, how I gain energy, and how I find motivation. Now, an INFJ can actively draw for and see and experience and relate to what we call sometimes extroverted intuition, or the ENFP subconscious. It plays a huge role on your psyche and how you think. It's kind of this, in many ways it's perceived as this outer world outside your comfort zone that you can sometimes decide to venture into, to draw insight, to learn, to gain knowledge about something. Often this is not a negative thing. The dark side is not a reflection of something negative as much as something that could potentially have negative consequences. It can be, and it is often focused on and studied from a negative perspective. INFJs are looking at this subconscious ENFP as something troubling, a troubling pattern that the INFJ has noticed. A lot of INFJs are always constantly investigating these negative trends that they've noticed in their world around them. ENFPs are seeing possibilities, the INFJ in many ways are seeing scary and inconvenient changes. And the INFJ seeks in many ways to distance themselves and to find vision and find composure and find perspectives that can help them tackle and respond to these inconveniences in a positive way. So in many ways the dark and the light, and that's how I use them metaphorically, aligns with something you find interesting because overall it's still intuition, and something you find motivating because overall it's still feeling. And in many ways it reflects things that you find fascinating and motivating, but still in many ways also things that you consider scary and troubling and stressful. The light side, of course, it reflects things that you also find fascinating and interesting and important, but things that bring you calm, that bring you center, that bring you stability and clarity, and the sense that you can move forward. When you are in the dark, you will always feel a little lost. When you're exploring your ENFP side, you are in many ways always going to feel a little lost from yourself and what you want, and you're going to feel a little insecure and a little unstable. And what you're going to say when INFJs are in this mode, what they often bring up is often of a negative nature. It can sound critical, it can sound harsh, it can sound hurtful, it can sound a little scary in a sense. But the INFJ can use this in a positive way. They can become aware of this darkness, and then they can study it and learn from it, and they can find a positive way to respond to it. It's nothing wrong with looking at and being aware of your inner darkness and your more troubling aspects of life. The core is to find a good way to respond to it, a healthy and your own way to respond to this. Because when you lose your own way and you stop acting on what you find important, what you find calming, what you find positive, and what you do to reduce stress, well, of course you're acting in a way that is irrational. You're acting in a way that is going to cause you pain. And a lot of the time I find myself wondering, why are people exposing themselves to and falling in the grip of darkness? Like in the sense that they are falling in the grip of this negative vision. Why are ENFPs letting themselves get bullied by their own fears and dark prophecies for the future? Why are INFJs getting lost and stuck on negative patterns and still not finding a way to respond to it? Of course, I find the key here is self-doubt in many ways. So when you are doubting yourself in your own way, and when you are living your life trying to be someone else than you are not, than who you are, that's of course when you get lost. We need always to find a way to get rid of and to dispel this doubt and to come into a higher sense of understanding of ourselves. One of the key goals of personality psychology must be to gain this higher confidence, this higher self-esteem, this higher belief in yourself and your own way. We are so often focused on looking at other people and what other people do and how other people are, and we can get fascinated by them and we can find that, wow, they seem to have it all, they seem to have it so well. But in the end, we always have to make our own way in life. We have to look at what fits us, what's true to us. How do I act true to myself? And we have to stop identifying and looking at ourselves based on the dark side, because we are not the dark side. You are, in many ways, the things about you that feel as a secure part of yourself. Anything about you that feels insecure and uncertain and amiss and problematic and scary and a little difficult and heavy, that's not you. If it feels heavy, if it feels scary, if it feels problematic, then it's not a reflection of who you are. You can enjoy diving into the things that you find scary, but who you are is always where you can come home and feel safe. Who you are is always a reflection of your kind of inner comfort zone and your